I want to start with what I think is kind of a complicated question. Because you were mostly on really good teams during your career,
right.
but I have to believe somewhere along the line you were on bad teams, too. You were on the team the year Peyton got hurt, right?
Yes, correct.
You've been on teams that lose like crazy. So for those of us who are primarily fans, what things should we be looking for to be determining the line between that team is playing like crazy and that team? Some people use the word quit, and I don't like to use the word quit because I don't think guys aren't trying.
Right.
But, like, you watched the Giants play yesterday, and there are plays where that touchdown that Robert Woods had, I mean, the Giants aren't even looking in his direction.
Yeah.
They have no interest in getting. What kinds of things do you look for to say that team is giving maximum effort and that team isn't?
Yeah, I mean, you think 3rd and 33, that should not happen, right? I mean, you got Woods coming across, and similar to the play you show with Hill, right? People are out of position. You don't really see the effort that you would normally like to see. But from a player perspective, it snowballs. And I think fans sometimes don't realize when teams start running up the score and everything they seem to be doing. I think they scored 8 of their first 9 drives yesterday against the Giants. I mean, it does take the wind out of your sails. So to expect the guys to be flying around at 100 miles an hour when you're down 35 or whatever that number is, it is difficult. I would say from the Giants' perspective, so much has happened. To just lay it all on the defense, that was a bad day. I mean, and everybody has a bad day. I remember we lost 41-0 in the playoffs against the Jets, and everybody wrote us up. This team, the window is shut. They're closed. They're finished. They're all these kind of things. We came back the next year, had a good year. We played a bad game, and when it got bad, it got real bad and got real ugly. So I would say the things you look for are the hope of the future, right? The OBJs of the world, guys getting back healthy. However you look at it, your defense is going to do better. You got to get O-linemen. You try to find the positives in there. Is the line getting better? Is the back doing his job? Everybody's trying to beat up on Eli as well right now. Eli's got nobody to throw. I mean, this is a difficult situation all the way through. And from a defensive perspective, when your offense can't help you and then the defense is struggling, it just gets ugly. I don't like the word quit either because I don't feel like guys quit. It looked really bad.
Here's what happens. Here's what goes on, and I think, Jeff, you would agree with this. Backside of a lot of things. Okay, for a defensive player, we work on pursuit drill every day.
Right.
You always want to run at people. So now you're the backside. Are you running as hard?
No.
You're the backside D tackle and the plays that sweep away. Are you running?
Right.
You're the backside corner. Are you running? Same thing on offense. You're the receiver side blocker. Right. You'll block, but the backside receiver, is he blocking? That backside tackle, is he cutting off? Is he going to throw at that backer?
Right.
Is he going to? That's where you see it. Play side usually is fine. When you have to engage right there and it's coming at you, offensively or defensively, normally you're going to give that effort because it's a physical game. It's everybody else. Normally you see the hustle. What you don't see is you don't see that pursuit on either side of the ball.
And that's a great point. The devil's in the details in football anyway, and it's the minute things like he's talking about on the backside. That backside, the backside tight end getting inside that 6 technique who's slanting. He's not nearly as interested in getting his head across and taking that shot when he's down those amount of points.
And next thing you know, that back who's going the other way wants to cut back.
Absolutely. And it just magnifies and looks really, really bad.
Mike and Jeff Saturday is in our studio. Speaking of your former team, and I was watching a lot of the game yesterday with the Colts and the Texans, and what I found myself thinking mostly about is just how good Deshaun Watson is.
Yes.
Because if you look back at the last few weeks, the Texans put up 38 points, 33 points, 34 points, 57 points, 33 points. Yesterday against the Colts, who had only previously beaten the winless Browns and 49ers, they scored 7 offensive points. They lost 20-14. One of the touchdowns was on defense.
Right.
So, I mean, what does that say more about Savage, or does it say more about Watson?
I think both, but to your point, Watson was playing absolutely lights out. I mean, this guy was screaming towards an MVP, a rookie. I mean, a rookie player of the year, not MVP, a rookie player of the year. Mm-hmm. He was playing lights out, and the energy he brought to that offense, whether he was getting Fuller involved, Hopkins involved, Miller involved, I mean, you name it. What makes quarterbacks separate themselves is they get everybody else involved. And I think when you see Savage and the way he was struggling with accuracy, decision-making, all the things that he was struggling with yesterday, guys kind of fall out. They don't know exactly where to be on their routes, right? They don't know. And with Watson being able to extend plays, and move around in the pocket and be that run threat. Now defenses, they got to play you a little bit different. I can tell you yesterday, the Colts didn't have any conversation about Tom Savage beating them outside the pocket. Not one conversation. If he gets out and gets a first down, you live with it. You don't even discuss it. With Deshaun Watson, somebody's spying. Corners are going to sag off. They're going to try to come down and play. Safety's got to keep their eyes in the middle of the field. All of those things are different when you change to a guy like Tom Savage from what he did yesterday. Listen, the Colts fought. They fought as hard as you can fight for a team that struggled the way they did. Sheared to make the play at the end of the game. You got to give them credit as well. But to your point, Savage struggled. Watson was incredible, and hopefully gets healthy and gets back to that level, because it makes watching the game so much fun. And you listen, we talked about the Giants and their struggle with giving up 50. There's been a lot more teams giving up 50 plus this year than I've ever seen. And so when offenses get on a roll right now, for some reason, it snowballs and get ugly. I mean, even the Broncos yesterday. Yeah. I mean, so you got a lot of defense that once these teams start getting it and hitting all cylinders, it's been tough to stop.
You got a team that's trying to make chicken salad out of what. You wonder if you'll see McGloin. You wonder if you'll see Yates in there as Bill O'Brien. We know he'll go through some quarterbacks.
Yes, he will.
Try and find a spark somewhere, some way to try and stay in that. On the side of the good, let's go to the NFC. Who do you take? Rams, Eagles, Saints?
I'm going Eagles. I mean, listen, you just look at this team, and Schwartz has that defense. They are flying around. And the crazy part is, whether it's Darby, whether it's Fletcher Cox, these guys miss games, and you don't even know they've missed games. I mean, there's been a ton of guys who have been bumped up, bruised, whatever. They're missing, and that defense is not slowing down. You're watching their front four just dominate. I mean, at will, which makes their corners jump in routes. I mean, they are flying down. Safeties are getting involved in the game. Defensively, they played really well. Then you flip it over to the other side. What Wentz has done, similarly to Deshaun Watson, is incredible. He can beat you with his legs outside the pocket. He extends plays. I love the pickup of Jay Ajayi. I'm just going to tell you, because with Blunt, with Clement, with all those guys in Smallwood, they didn't have the home run.
Right.
He brings that home run. He showed it yesterday. That complete and with Doug Peterson, with the commitment to the run that he has given, this Eagles team is going to be tough to beat, because they'll focus on the run and they'll pound you, and then Wentz can beat you with his arm. So I think they're playing as good as any team in the NFL right
Jeffrey and Aguilar, and they played without yesterday. Word. They've got a lot of weapons.
Absolutely. And they spread it around. They kind of have that Andy Reid mentality, only Doug Peterson is much more committed to the run game and establishing that than Andy Reid is.
The Eagles hung 51 on the Broncos yesterday. Denver entered the game ranked #1 in the league in total defense.
That was a day.
Jeff Saturday is here with the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Take a short break. Come back with much more on yesterday's NFL action. And then Booger McFarland will join us. We'll talk football, college, and pro with him. Busy on a Monday. Mike and Mike after a word from CT Shirts. And here is some solid career advice.